Making a great project is not about working hard because at the top level, everybody's working hard. And it's not about having a silver bullet piece of software because that's just a tool and they evolve and change over time. So, really, it's about the people. It's about you as the client with a dream of a project, something that you really want to do. It's like deep inside of you why we're doing this. And me, someone who has almost 25 years of experience working as an architect, a contractor, leading development commercially, and building projects all over the country and now all over the world. Bringing together those skills and your ideas so that we can set the conditions so that we are able to do something great. And what we're really doing is we're setting the conditions to discover and analyze and understand and synthesize what the ideas are and how to turn them into a building. And that's really what this process is all about. And so, how do we do that? This is a Gantt chart. It doesn't really matter what that is. It's really just a schedule. And what we do is this is a basic framework that I use for every project. And so any project that I have, this gets copied, duplicated, and basically it lays out using dates, when we're starting this thing and generally when it's going to end. And it's assigning timelines. It's saying, that might take 10 days, that might take 20 days, 2 weeks, 1 week, 1 day. What are the milestones? What are the meetings we need to have? Different things like that. And then how do things sort of affect each other as they slide along? And so what we're really doing here is setting up a framework or a mental model that we can attach to so that as we go through these different stages, it makes sense what we're doing and why we're doing it. And so what I mean by that is the very first thing that we do is we sort and we synthesize data. We collect the data, we have conversations, we interview people, we interview you, key stakeholders in your business, whoever it is, we're collecting information. And then very quickly from there, we are getting into the intent and the ingredients. What do you want? It's a simple question, but it really isn't, because if this is your dream project, there's a real reason behind it. There's a real drive for why it is that you're doing this. And so that's the intent. The ingredients are just what we put into it. Is it spicy? Is it not spicy? Do you have some dairy allergy? Then avoid dairy, just using some cooking analogies. We need to know what to put into it, but that has everything to do with what the intent is. I can't tell you what the ingredients are until I know what you want. And so all of this has dates assigned to it. And again, relative starting points where we can track how far along are we, how long do we think it's going to take, what stage of progress is it in, etc. And so once we have sorted and synthesized, we've done our research, we've set an intent and we've identified ingredients, we then move into visualization. And part of this is happening as we're doing sketches. Sometimes that happens concurrently as we're looking at what the intent is. But when we really get into visualizing and evaluating it, it's a series of concept rounds where we do a concept, all of this information gets fed, and it turns into a building. And that's really what it is. That's the leap. And that is a leap that I help you with because that's my skill. That is my skill of mastery, is to be able to help you make a building out of your ideas. That's what I do. You've got the ideas. I know sort of all the stuff in the background that's going on. That's why we don't need to talk about it, because that's all boiling in sort of the back of my brain in the background. So what do? We do concepts, we get feedback. We do another concept, we get feedback. And eventually we get to a point where we can start sort of developing one concept in more detail. But I'm going to show you that in another drawing. So if you're here at the beginning of this timeline with an idea, you're excited, you've got this dream, we start talking about your project, what is it that we're doing? Just a lot of this is listing. Maybe you have a building or a site, and maybe there's some information about that, or maybe it's what you need it to be, how big it needs to be, whatever the case is. We are collecting information, and all of that is part of that sorting and synthesizing. That is that phase. Because very quickly, what we try to do is set an intent and identify ingredients. And so what we mean by that is just what are we trying to do here? What are the goals? Who are we doing this for? Who are we making this for? And then what are the ingredients that we need to combine to create this thing? And at this point, we don't necessarily have visualizations. Maybe we've got sketches, things you like, things you don't like, images. We're collecting and we are beginning to set the intent and identify the components or the ingredients of the building. And then very quickly, we visualize and we evaluate. And this is a very important process. What we really are doing is we are trying a few different, very divergent ideas. So let's identify like an A, a B, and a C. Maybe this one is more of a tower or something. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. The point is that they are taking the information that we're starting with and they're going in different directions. And the reason that that's important is because as we then evaluate them, what often happens is we end up moving forward with, maybe one of them goes away. Maybe we have a 1A, maybe we have a 1B, that we're they're close, but like they're a little different. And maybe even there's like a number two, like a second option that is quite a bit different. But what we are doing is we are delaying our judgment of them. We aren't rushing to figure out which one is the right one. We're letting them play out. And why do we do that? It's because this whole process is all about setting up a filter or a lens that we can pass this stuff back and forth through. So when we look at these things, we actually know we like this, we like that part. We actually want to combine those into this sort of new thing, maybe even like part of this one. And this maybe becomes the thing that we are very excited about, which is not the same as what you or myself would come up with. It is actually better than what we could do individually. 1 and 1 equaling more than 2. How do we do it? We are filtering things back and forth because we now have a series of things to use as the filter. We've sorted and synthesized data. We have set our intent and ingredients. We have been visualizing and evaluating different options, very different options. And so over here, you have me helping you with this. And as we pass things back and forth, this is the improvisation. You have ideas, I have ideas, all of this is going into it, and it's all being filtered very carefully so that by the time we are making decisions, we are confident that we can move forward with our architects and engineers, our GC, to build it, et cetera, because the thing is, once you get here, all of a sudden the money just explodes. You go from this whole process might take about, call it 1 to 3% of a project budget. It's really more like 1 or 2%. This next phase is probably more like, 8 or 9%. And then just a giant jump when you get into actual construction. And so the point is that we can do all of this very fast, very efficiently, and boiling it down so that you have confidence in what it is that we're actually doing here. And we understand what the different ingredients are. We understand what your intent is, what we're trying to do. We've checked different options. We've taken the bits and pieces and the things we like and we've put them together in a way that makes sense so that when we see it, when we look at it, Through this filter, when you as the client is looking through this filter at this, you are able to say, yep, not only do I love it, which is important because you're paying a lot of money for a building, it's a huge investment. You have to like it. Otherwise, what are we doing? But you've also realized, and you can do it confidently because we've set up a filter, which is the synthesis and the sorting, the intent and the ingredients, the visualizing and evaluating. Those are the filters that allow us to make decisions and move forward. Because these are dream projects. Those are the projects that I work on. If it's not a dream project, there are plenty of other people who can help you with it because my specialty is really helping people who have ideas, who, are over here and just don't really know how to get here. Or maybe you've done it and there's been issues, or maybe it hasn't quite gotten to the standard that you want. And that's why we've created this framework. This is not the way every architect works. This is the way that I work, and its sort of dry version is this Gantt chart. In reality, it looks a lot more like this. And that's fine because it is messy and it's not the same for everybody, but having that model to work around and to structure, set timelines, set expectations, very importantly, is why it is able to move quickly. It's why I can ask you, the client, for specific things at different points. You know generally where we're going, and we adjust it and tailor it and customize it for you and for your project and for whatever your project team is. And so, this is how I have found bringing like real dream projects together has worked. And I've been doing this for, almost 15 years now professionally, all over the country with all sorts of different clients, different teams, different builders. And it works because we are able to set something that we can all rally around and run forward with confidently. We've done all the work, we understand it. We got to a visualization and a concept or schematic layout that we are happy with. So like a rough-ish layout, and off we go. That's when we run. And I only work on dream projects because if you think that's cheesy or not, that's fine, but it's true. These are the clients that I like to work with because that's the way I look at my business. This is a dream of mine to be making amazing projects. And so if that's what you want to talk about, this is a process that helps us get to the reality of a wild project that is completed successfully. So if you want to talk to me about that, please reach out. I'd love to talk to you. Otherwise, if this is helpful, please like and subscribe. And I really do appreciate you taking the time to watch. So I'll see you at the next one.